Well, nothing was off the table in the interview, and today we learned about a new law that the chief state's attorney is proposing that he says would make it easier for the family of loved ones lost to an overdose to get justice and closure. Sitting down only with Fox 61, Chief State's Attorney Rich Colangelo says his office will introduce legislation this session that would allow a drug-induced death to be prosecuted with a charge of first-degree manslaughter.
There's dozens of states that do it or have it right now. Connecticut doesn't. So what the statute would allow us to do is to prosecute for a manslaughter in the first degree, recklessly causing someone's death, the individual or individuals that provided the drugs to someone that caused their death.
I just want to pose a hypothetical to you. Let's say it's a friend or a family member who gets those drugs for somebody else and ends up causing the overdose. Sometimes they may have obtained those drugs to prevent that person from withdrawal or the dangers of a street buy. So should they be locked up for that?
No, I mean, and one of the things that prosecutors have is discretion. And in looking at that situation that you just described, that is not a situation where I think the person would, be incarcerated.
I asked Colangelo how this proposal would jive with the state's existing Good Samaritan law, which shields a person from prosecution so long as they call for help, either for themselves or someone else during an overdose.
Calling and getting somebody help is doing the right thing. So we want to make sure that we still allow that to happen. And that's something that I would make sure that is still in place if this law ultimately did get enacted.
Colangelo told Fox 61 his office has been drafting the details of the legislation since October, long before the tragic overdose death of a Hartford teen from pure powder fentanyl.
The first thought was it's a tragedy. I thought about my kids, and then, it kind of switches in my brain, the prosecutor in me, and says, okay, well, who's responsible and can we hold them accountable?
Now, Colangelo could not say anything about the investigation into the teen's death. If you'd like to see my full interview with the state's top prosecutor, we have that available on our website, fox61.com, and on our Fox 61 YouTube page. Now, coming up on the news at 5, more from my discussion with the chief state's attorney. Is the opioid epidemic a problem that we can just arrest our way out of? And how are law enforcement investigators trained to process the scene of an overdose? That's coming up at 5. For now, we're live in Rocky Hill, outside the chief state's attorney's office. Matt Caron, Fox 61 News.